Hi, my name's Curt, and my call's WG5H. And how I got interested in this is I made a mistake of going to Nizar's presentation about 2 years ago, and that may be $25,000 ago. But anyway, Nizar gave a talk, and it fit the bill. I got real frustrated with ham radio because of where we live, can't put up an antenna, and so forth and so on. Well, I have a ranch down in South Texas in Duval County, and I decided, you know what, if you're going to do this, you might as well go big. So I put up 120 feet of 55G, got a Skyhawk bencher at 135 feet, a 40-meter beam, and it was great. I mean, I go down there for a contest. I'm 4 hours away from Houston, and that's the rub. You know, contest in at 6. If you leave, you get back at midnight, and then have to go to work the next day. So I go to Nizar's presentation, and he convinces me that I need to remote that station. And it opened up a whole can of worms because I didn't have an internet connection. And when I say Duval County, you guys know where that is. I mean, it is halfway between Corpus and Laredo. There's no telephone lines, barely electricity, and no internet connection. But we solved that with Cradlepoint Modem, and I got me a static IP address and so forth. And if you see this little triangular antenna at the top, that's pointed back at the AT&T tower that's about, I think around 8 or 9 miles away. And the most frustrating thing in my remote experience has been dealing with AT&T. This tower goes in and out all the time. Okay, so anyway, completely different system than Pat's. I use hardware. I don't use computer. I use computer to program the hardware, and once it's in place, it's in place. The radios I'm using is K3 and a K30. Are you guys familiar with the K30? I've got a picture of it in a minute. It's the K3 without the RF deck. So when you go over to Building B, you'll see my station running. It's one small little box. I put it all in a plain old tackle box, and I can run that station from anywhere in the world as long as I've got an internet connection. Got a little bitty box. The whole station probably weighs less than 10 pounds. I travel with it and so forth. It's just like operating the radio. And Quack, like you're talking about these pileups, when I hit the K3 Mini, it's just like I'm sitting in front of the K3 at the ranch. I've got total control. I can run split. I can put the filters on, off. I can do whatever I want to do. So, it's a different idea than what Pat's doing. It fits the bill for me and some of my friends that log on to it. My QRZ call sign information is correct. If you guys got any questions, you can send me an email, and I'll probably send your email to Nizar because he knows 100 times more than I do about this. I'm going to skip this one. Okay, so here's what I'm doing. Is you have a remote. The remote site, this is at the ranch. It's your whole station. I got power amplifier, my rotor, the radio, this RRC box, which is the hardware behind both systems. You've got two of these. You've got a control box and you've got a remote box. This is the 480, but pretend it's a K3. And this is my radio station. Got a key or a mic. That's it. I travel with it. And I can control the rotor, the amplifier, and so forth from my iPhone or my iPad. I'm sitting there watching my power amplifier on my iPhone in the other building, and I can tell they're making a lot of contacts because it keeps lighting up. I can see the power out and also the SWR. So I'll show you a few more pictures of this. Again, it's just dedicated hardware. It's just connection. And I guess for me to comprehend it, the first time it was, if you take this table and move it across the room and connect some wires to it, and use the control head on this side of the room, chop these wires up and call it the internet, and that's basically what you got. I've got a static IP address. I can click on a computer. If you guys got an iPhone, I could give you the IP address right now and the password. You could control my internet, my radio. You could control my amplifier and my antenna. Okay, so here's basically it. This black box contains a microprocessor. It's got your inputs for a mic, speaker, cat signal, Win key. At the control site, you plug your keyer in. You can plug your keyer in. You can plug N1MM in. You can run contests with it with your laptop and have the keyer like you like, Quack, right there. Just, use it just like it's a real radio. Control site. That's it. I mean, this is exactly what I've got. Use the computer for log. You don't even need the computer. I mean, most of the time I don't even use a laptop. I just use it like an old radio. The control side. This is Nizar's control side. This is the K3 Mini right here, and it's whatever you touch on that K3 will happen at the ranch at the remote location. If you want the filters, hit the filter. Filter comes on, it's instantaneous. It's a very quick process. I mean, you cannot tell you're not sitting in front of the radio. And if you guys go over there and operate that station today and run this contest, nobody knows you're remote. Nobody knows the RF is coming 250 miles south of here. And it's just a solid signal for me because I like to travel with it. Okay, guys, thunderstorm's coming. What's the first thing you do? Disconnect, right? But I'm 250 miles from there. So last year at Dayton, I'd gone to a bunch of different meetings on remote radio and so forth. And I'd been looking for something solid to disconnect that antenna. That worries me to death because I sit here and look at weather radar and go, oh my God, 120 foot, I'm going to get it because I left my antennas connected from the contest and so forth. Well, this little bitty device costs $100. And a lady at my table at the DX Forum won this as a door prize. And that's the first I heard of it. So I find this guy at Dayton. And this would be good for anybody, by the way. You've got, antenna in, antenna out to your tower, but notice it's got a little 12-volt disconnect. Well, what do you got on the back of the K3 in most radios today? You got 12 volts. You turn the radio off, it turns the 12 volts off. Power off on this little device, grounds the antenna. Simple little fix. And I really don't know a lot of all the hardware that it's changing constantly, and you can adapt your any of this internet hardware. This is a picture I took at Dayton. I'm sorry for the quality, but this is you can control your electricity. You can control. You can assign this device an IP address and turn it on. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but that little antenna disconnect isn't enough. I got 6 cables to disconnect, rotor boxes, SO2R boxes, beverage.
Right.
Yeah.
I know, and you got to be.
Things to disconnect when the lightning comes.
That's right, and you've got and I've got polyphasers. I've got everything grounded. There's a lot of faith involved with this. Besides just that, I'm using the 2K. It's got 6 independent antenna connections that all go to ground when you turn it off. So, I'm trying my best. And I don't know if you're going to survive a lightning strike or not, but I can put up a good effort. May or may not. The control, the rotor is, got polyphasers into a Hoffman box. I've got multiple grounds and so forth, and I put up a good defense. And it kind of is what it is. And I agree with you. The solid thing to do would be disconnect everything and let the lightning pass. But like I said, if you're 250 miles away, you got to just do the best you can. Okay, so you can turn your power on and off, reset computers if you wanted to. The remote site's just more of the same. It's a simple little system. These boxes are a little bit difficult to program, but not something that we all can't do. If I could do it, anybody can. My computer skills are horrible. But program the boxes, where they talk to each other. It's a simple little thing. Maybe takes a couple hours of time to get it right. That's the remote site. And you can see you've got the K3, the amp. computer. It's your amateur radio station. You're just controlling it from afar. Your Cradlepoint modem, this is the key. For me, if you had an internet connection at home and wanted remote, it's no big deal. When you've got a dynamic IP address at home, but there I need the static IP address, and this is the signal strength. Anything between 70 and 80 dBm, I've got a solid connection to my radio. And you're dependent on AT&T or whoever your cell carrier is to give you a decent signal. Antenna control. This is it. This is on my iPad. I screenshot this. I want to change that antenna. I want to turn that tower. I just touch a button. Work DX. These guys in the South Pacific just walk over here and hit that button. The antenna points to them. It'll rotate back and forth. And I've got a green heron controller, of course. Amplifier. That's what we just looked at. This is my KPA that I've got running right now. I left the KPA up because it's easier to control for the Hamfest demonstration. But you can immediately see if your SWR's good, you don't have any antenna problems, and then of course your power, how much you're transmitting out. A little bit of drive and you're good. Okay, one other little added thing with the remote rig system, you can get this little USB micro. Plug it into a laptop, and you mentioned Ham Radio Deluxe, that's what I run. And HRD controls a K3 very well. And so you can plug this little device into your laptop and operate your radio through your computer. If you're on the road, you have a little bitty computer, you want to play with it, it'll connect back to the ranch too. It's a little slower. You can't put a key in it. You got to top off the keyboard. It frustrates me, and I don't like using it. Okay, here's my tower, and here's kind of what Nizar and I have done. His 480's been up for 4 years nonstop with RRC boxes. That's my 120 feet of 55G, and you can tell how remote it is. You can recognize it's South Texas. That's a high fence that I've got around the ranch. Okay, what are we doing next? This is a little construction of the tower. I'll just do that in there because it's interesting. Okay, what am I doing next? Here it is. I've got a fishing cabin down in Port Mansfield with a pier that's 500 feet out into salt water. After I read heard Rick's talk, and we've been chatting back and forth on email about verticals over salt water. My next project, we've got all the hardware to do, is put a vertical out at about 200 feet over salt water. And according to you guys, 6 dBm gain, can't wait to get that up. And I'm going to run a 480 Kenwood for that station. And that concludes my little short presentation. And you guys go operate the radio. You could sit down there for an hour if you want. Pat's going to have his station up. Pat's going to operate the club call KK5W. WG5H is making contacts right now. Any questions?
And all his gear got fried. He was at China buffet when his son called with the news. He almost choked on his egg roll. His insurance was overdue. He's got the hair.